April 2025 has arrived, and with it comes great new games like Zombie Nightmares, throwbacks to all-time classics, and many more. I'm Craigo, and let's get into the top games to look forward to in April. Let's kick the month off with The Last of Us Part 2 Remastered on PC. With Season 2 of the live-action TV show looming, Sony has timed this release perfectly for PC players to have a crack at the remastered extras in this version of the game. Even better, Sony is learning. No PSN account is required this time, a welcome change after Helldivers 2 suffered from the wrath of negative reviews on Steam because of this issue not too long ago. Great news for PC players. April is a busy month for the heads at Xbox, and after 2 long years since its reveal, we're finally so close to the release of South of Midnight. Compulsion Games' new action-adventure is dripping with deep South folklore and charm. I played it recently for Pure Xbox, and honestly, I fell in love with the title. Combat is simple but fun, exploration is surprisingly slick and fluid, but the real standouts are that storybook setting and stunning art direction. And the voice acting is wonderful too. Easily one of my most anticipated for 2025. Well, turns out PS5 owners only had to wait 4 months for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle to land on Sony's console. A pretty short wait, all things considered, especially compared to Death Stranding's 5-year journey to Xbox. But back to it, The Great Circle is a brilliant indie story from start to finish, and a blast to play in my opinion. I didn't get the whole third first-person hate Machine Games got for this. It just works. And it had me hooked straight to 100% completion. I'm excited to see what PS5 players think on April 15th, so be sure to let me know in the comments. Lost Records Bloomin' Rage drops its second tape April 15th, bringing with it a conclusion to the 2-part series. If you've played tape 1, then you already know the vibes. From the minds behind Life is Strange, this Don't Nod game swaps Max's SLR for a vintage tape recorder, perfect for filming your cat and, well, other things I suppose. But no spoilers, Tape 1 laid down some eerie, emotional groundwork, jumping between the sun-soaked teen troubles of 1995 and their consequences 27 years later. Now, it's time to see how all of that unfolds, and put it on your list, April 15th. What's a month in video games without zombies, eh? Into the Dead, Our Darkest Days hits early access on April 9th, so for the moment, it's locked to PC via Steam for now. But this one speaks to me, so I wanted to highlight it. This is actually Into the Dead's 3rd game, with the first 2 were FPSs, but Our Darkest Days is set in 1980s Texas, and features side-scrolling room-to-room exploration, zombie hordes, survivors, crafting, and shelter mechanics. It's dark and gritty, and, you know, it's all wrapped up in this eerie, gorgeous package. It's fun too, I might add, because there's a demo on Steam right now if you want to give it a go. Alright, I'll admit I'm not the biggest fighting game guy, but I do know when a game's worth checking out, and Fatal Fury City of the Wolves is one of them. It's been roughly 25 or so years since Fatal Fury's main man, Terry Bogard, had his own game, so this revival is kind of a big deal. I played it back in 2024 at Summer Game Fest and got absolutely wrecked, but it looked, controlled, and felt pretty fantastic. Stacks up well against Street Fighter, Tekken, and Mortal Kombat 2. Oh, and for some reason you can play as Cristiano Ronaldo. Well, what can you do? Anyway, it drops April 24th. Now, my pick for the month, maybe even the year, is Clair Obscur Expedition 33 from Sandfall Interactive. This turn-based RPG is looking to evolve the genre with slick, immersive combat. It's not just a press A to win. Quick time events for attack and boosts keep fights engaging. Add in a dark and gritty and compelling story, and you got something special. I honestly can't wait for this one to launch April 24th, and I did actually do an early preview of the game recently on the channel, which you can find a link to it somewhere on the screen or in the description below. It's good stuff. So back in the old war days, when a medic treated a wounded soldier with morphine, they'd scribble a big fat M on their forehead. Well, this franchise must have been marked with an R for revival. Whee! Terrible joke, I know. Anyway, the top-down Green Beret boys are back after nearly 20 years. Commandos Origins, and not to be confused as a sequel to Commando on the Game Boy Color, Like, who'd make that mistake? Not this guy. This revived classic brings fresh stealth tactics, dropping into World War II as a squad of Marines. Outnumbered and outgunned, you'll whittle down your enemies one by one to complete your mission. Despite thinking this was the wrong franchise, it is nice to see Commandos return. Yeah. On April 25th, it'll have been 2,191 days gone since Days Gone launched in 2019. Apparently enough for a Days Gone Remastered. Not that I'm complaining, because this was one of those post-apocalyptic zombie games that I just loved, but dropped and moved on from. It's not the game's fault, the undead hordes were always so impressive and so much fun to mow down. And soon, with enhanced graphical options, DualSense integration, a few new modes including Horde Assault mode, we'll face off against ever more satisfying large stampedes of zombies. Only costs a tenner if you own the original version of the game too, either physically or digitally, and it sounds like a perfect excuse to get back into a game that I shouldn't have dropped. Cool beans, my guy. You know what they always say, if you can't beat them, get your first party games on Sony's top sellers lists. And that's exactly what Forza Horizon 5 is doing. Not trying to knock it, but I'd be more excited if Horizon 4 was coming to PS5. It's the best one, in my opinion. Still, it's an exciting time to be a Sony gamer. Forza Horizon is one of Xbox's holy trinity, and Horizon 5 delivers a stunning, immersive sandbox racer through Mexico's sandy deserts and humid forests. You'd just be daft not to pick this one up. April has games, right? We've seen that now, so I just wanted to chuck in a few more before we wrap up. Let's call them bonus mentions. Next up is a rather gorgeous RPG Metroidvania. Mandragora brings big beasties, magic, swords, and, you know, all your classic fancy hallmarks. But damn does it look slick. Play as one of 6 classes from Vanguard to Flameweaver and dive into a dark story that clocks in at around 40 plus hours to complete. It's not the shortest in the slightest. Then we have the 100-line Last Defense Academy. If you're familiar with the Danganronpa games, then you'll kind of know what you're in for, but to be honest, they're so weird and wonderful, they're kind of hard games to explain. They're visual novels at heart, but the 100-line blends that with defensive battles, which I'd describe as turn-based tile combat, so it's one to keep your eye on. And finally, you've heard of Sea of Thieves, right? Pirates on the 7 seas, plundering and pillaging each other's pirate ships. Well, Sand is much of a likeness, but with desert running machines instead. Definitely worth checking out on PC if that's your kind of bag. Let me know what your gaming plans for April are in the comments below, and if your most anticipated game isn't in the list, then I'd love to hear about that one too. As always, thanks for watching. I've been Craig, and all that's left to say is bye-bye for now. Cheerio!